Yo guys, welcome to the last lap. Don't forget to drop a lovely, juicy 5-star rating if you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Hope you enjoy, and let's get into it.
Let's talk sprint races now, boys, because we have had the 6 confirmed.
Yes,
for
we've
next
actually
year.
had the venues, haven't we?
Yeah, so we have
There's
got...
some chaotic ones in here as well, Jesus Christ.
Starting with Baku.
Yeah, that's the one.
What are we thinking Baku for a sprint race?
It should be quite interesting because what I think the sprint adds, apart from the actual sprint race, is less practice time. And what we saw, for example, in Sao Paulo is that the problem for Red Bull is that they weren't able to get like their car and their tires kind of sorted out during practice. And I think that actually adds more than the actual sprint race itself, less practice. So around somewhere like Baku, I mean, that's going to be carnage. Like the walls are close. How much are drivers, there's always that question, how much are they going to risk? But I mean, they were risking quite a bit in the sprint in like Sao Paulo. So
Yeah, the Brazilian one was ridiculous. So
Yeah.
it depends on also, will we have a title challenge at that point as well? Because I think if it is a little bit closer between like 2 title rivals or 3, then perhaps you might get a few more moves.
Because which round is Baku? Is like 7 or something?
I think so. Something like that.
Around there, so hopefully we'll have something to fight for.
I mean, if the title's over by round 7 in 2023,
yeah, I was going to say,
bloody hell.
We're in for a long one.
All right, Belgium.
big fan. I know that. You're anti-Spa, aren't you?
It'll be 3 laps long,
No,
though.
I'm not anti-Spa. God, you're trying to get the clickbait title straight away there. And Tommo is anti-Spa.
Yeah.
I hate spas.
No.
I
had this
never have a
debate.
relaxing time at a spa.
We had this
ever.
debate, and you said that,
And the shop as well.
you said, the Belgian Grand Prix wasn't really that good and stuff like that. And I told you, the reason why, do you remember what happened in Spa? Is that everyone changed their engine. Every single person did it. And do you know why? Because you can overtake around that track. And so I think it's the perfect track to do something like
It's
that.
an iconic track, but does it give the great wall-to-wall racing?
Ocon did
consistently?
2 double overtakes.
DRS
like this year.
overtakes down the Kemmel Straight.
I mean,
Simple,
that's
mate.
Kemmel
Formula
Straight
1
doesn't need
though.
DRS.
I mean,
don't think
one
it
of them
needs
wasn't to the
DRS.
bus stop.
I actually hear that, Loki. I actually hear that.
It's just too easy.
Listen,
Not every straight needs DRS.
I am going to defend Spa because it is still one of my favorite tracks. It deserves to be on the calendar. I'm glad to see it.
You love a spa. You love a steam room. You love a good foot massage.
Love a spa, like the shop as well. Little
Yeah.
little off-license thing.
Classic. You don't see many of them in the UK.
I was
It's
gonna
a
say,
bit more of a European thing, isn't they?
No joke, I used to live above one. When I first moved to England, no joke, I used to live
That's
above
why
one.
you're a spa defender, isn't it? You're biased.
Yeah.
Cool.
What do you reckon of Belgium?
I love Belgium as a track. I love Spa. We all do. Like it's literally iconic. I think it's more just like how many laps you're actually going to get there for a sprint. I guess it'll probably be like 9 or
Yeah,
something.
it's a very long lap.
It's the
such a
longest
long lap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't particularly mind it. And again, like you said, I think that goes under the radar, the lack of practice, because you literally get one free practice session before then the sprint starts.
Exactly, yeah.
Tell you what, give us a combination of a new track and a sprint race there at the same time. Oh, tragedy.
Carnage.
Vegas
Absolute
sprint.
carnage.
Yeah.
Vegas sprint.
Well, they haven't done it. It's not on the list, unfortunately. But what is on the list is Qatar, which if you asked me to draw Qatar,
I feel
the map, I just couldn't. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Today I feel sprint.
You killed me, man. You killed me.
Geography skills out the window.
Well, no, because I'm trying to think. So Fernando
Bahrain,
got his
Podium.
at
remember that.
Qatar. It was an all right race. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was
terrible.
okay. The big thing about it, I remember, was like the tires exploding or something like
Yeah.
right towards the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of like
Which could be interesting for a sprint. Maybe
Exactly,
risking
yeah.
the soft.
they need to bring the right tires. It always matters to that. But it was such a. It's weird. I completely forgot we even went there last year. 'Cause I
Yeah.
remember like Lewis obviously won that was quite dominant around
Even though
there.
your
But
boy
totally
Fernando got a podium.
And it was a good podium. He didn't luck into it, by the way.
It was.
That lap 1 move he did
Move
around the outside of
outside.
Gasly.
Yeah.
Oh my day, it was brilliant. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know whether it was like that. Yeah, they looked at all of the races and said, yeah, definitely Qatar, or maybe if Qatar perhaps were kind of lobbying for it a little bit. So I don't know. I'm up in the air about it, but I'm kind of looking forward to going back to that track to see what it's kind of all about. Because they do have Formula 1 do have a contract, like was it a 10-year contract in Qatar, regardless of that track?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
is
It
kinda
won't be
nuts.
at Lusail for the whole period. They're going to try and, I guess, recreate their own version of Saudi.
Right, okay, they're going to build a new one there.
Yeah, like a street circuit by the bay. I think that's the plan.
Right,
But,
okay.
so the thing is, I think that the sprint format, from my understanding anyway, it's not going to be changing fundamentally. So they're because I think the sprints are a little bit too long. Personally, I think they need to be a little bit shorter. Yeah,
Spa sprint would be like 3 laps then.
Yeah,
if you want it to
literally.
be shorter.
sure, I'm happy with that.
It's an open lobby.
I'm happy with that. Literally, why not? We got that 2-lap sprint at Baku. What was it? A couple of years ago.
Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah. And then when Lewis
magic.
just went on.
Fine.
Literally same vibes at Spa. But I don't know about, do you know what? I'm kind of the opposite. I'm like, whenever we get to like one of those sprints, I'm always like, I want more. Why is it ended now? I wanted to just make it a race distance.
just two races. Just have a race Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah,
3
exactly.
races. Why not?
Who needs practice? Don't
More racing, yeah.
And then we're also we're sprinting in Austin, in the US.
That's just because of location. I'm convinced they've just been like, let's just have a sprint in America.
Yeah.
They want to get those numbers up.
They want to get
in
those
the US. Like they're seeing the growth there.
Miami was a bit of a dud compared to Austin.
The attendance for Qatar, wasn't that literally a record in Formula One history?
400,000 across the 3 days.
Yes, I mean you kind of might as well, really.
Nuts.
If you
And I think it's also a good track as well. That's the important. You got to pick good tracks because like sometimes there have been tracks where I mean, I love Imola, but I don't think it was like, apart from I think the little Leclerc Max thing at the beginning, it wasn't that great.
The worst track I reckon. Well, and Monaco for a sprint. Like you've got to choose tracks for the sprint where there's actual overtaking possible.
Yeah,
strategically,
because you're not going to get. You don't need. The strategy isn't there. Like pit stops, obviously. So you kind of need actual like raw overtaking tracks.
Yeah, I mean I'm happy with Austin. Great track, good overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, decent.
And then the other two are Austria and Brazil. We return, so I mean we're happy with that.
Yeah.
I know why it's not, but I really want Sao Paulo to be the final race of the season. Like back when I started watching in 2012, like the fact that it was the final race, that track is so good for a title like finale.
Yeah,
I know Abu Dhabi obviously had like a contract to be the the final race with like the fireworks and stuff, but Sao Paulo would still be the one. Like,
are there no fireworks in Brazil? Are they illegal?
Yeah.
They're not sell
allowed
fireworks in Brazil.
Exactly.
Like, we could just do that there.
Not quite the same vibe, clearly, but yeah. I wish it was the final race, if you know what I mean.
I miss it because you had that unpredictability of the weather as well with Brazil. I know you had fucking Hamilton, Glock, you had the Vettel 2012 race, but like just that spice, that added spice. Abu Dhabi is an average track that provides very average races very regularly.
Yeah.
The only highlight that we have is literally 2021, and
that was a bad race.
That was a shocking race up until that point. And then the only other thing, realistically, that I can think of Abu Dhabi for is that Alonso couldn't overtake Vitaly Petrov.
It's not good when you're trying to be famous for not being able to overtake.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That was pretty much what prompted DRS
to
become a thing. That instance. Kind of, because the FIA were clearly fuming that Alonso couldn't win. Yeah. I'm joking. It's a joke.
It's all a
he
conspiracy.
Was robbed by Petrov.
He was robbed by Petrov. No, look, I'm all in all, I know there's a lot of, I've seen quite a lot of anti-sprint sentiment. I think it's easy to be negative about these new things that are coming in. I think it's inevitable. We're going to get competitive running Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
That is going to be happening more and more long term, I think, because they sell more tickets, get more eyeballs on the sport. I don't think it'll be long until half the races are sprints.
And I must be honest, I mean, I was someone who was totally like up for it. I wanted to see what it would be like over the last 2 years. And obviously when it came in 2021, I'm leaning to really like it actually now. Like just the unpredictability, especially the fact that there's only one practice session. I feel like that's the really big thing.
You're right, yeah.
As much as like, I know some people like, I actually know, I was speaking to one person, they really wanted to hate it. And now they actually love it, but they just don't tell anyone. So it's like, I actually think it's really good.
The thing for me is it just has to be at tracks where it's not going to, or it has to be a situation where it's not detracting from the actual race. And like, because you didn't have that in Brazil, thankfully, because the Brazilian race was actually good anyway. But you had Magnussen on pole, and the sprint sort of like filtered out people and like moved the sort of order back to where it should have been. Thankfully, the race was unbelievable anyway, so it didn't really matter. But you do have that sometimes with a sprint, where if you get a bit of a hectic qualifying session, you then kind of lose that because of the sprint. The sprint almost like filters things back to how they should be again.
The thing is, I think it's important to look at the sprint in the context of the future of the sport being a lot closer if the cost cap does its job. Because historically, you've had the big teams spending 5-6 times as much money per year as the smaller teams. So of course they're going to be exponentially quicker. Of course they're going to, if they have a poor qualifying, of course they're going to drive through the field. Hopefully, give it 3-4 years, the sport should be in a much more competitive place. Not that, again, no spec series, but where everyone can at least fight for podiums. That's the kind of ideal. But obviously,
even
going into... Well, not anymore.
Making a
He's job centre, mate.
He's got job centre.